It's almost time for the biggest party of the summer. But here's the thing about parties, sometimes they're amazing. The music is good, the people are funny, the drinks are flowing, and it spills into an exciting night where the air is thick with possibility. But sometimes no one comes to your party. You're just left eating crisps off a Power Rangers themed paper plate as your mum tells you that all the invites must have got lost in the post. You can't bring yourself to say that, no mum, I hand them out at school. And she says, Adam, maybe they'll still come. And you cry into the crisp. It just makes the crisps wet. And then the clown you've hired to your dad, and that becomes a whole thing. Point is, SummerSlam is sometimes really great, and sometimes it isn't. Let's talk about the times that it isn't. I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown, and here are our 10 worst SummerSlams of all time. Also, if you'd like more SummerSlam content, check out last week's video where we covered the 10 greatest SummerSlams. This one might be a little angrier than that one. Number 10, 2021. Last year's SummerSlam was bad, and no amount of incredibly predictable old match John versus unable to die Bull Chief will convince me otherwise. To be fair, there is one absolutely stonking match on this card, Edge versus Seth Rollins in the first of their trilogy of bangers. Everything else was either fine, Usos Mysterio, Damian Priest Sheamus, the underwhelming main event, bad, Drew and Jinder, Bliss and Eva Marie, Jesus Christ, do you remember that? Or else a baffling booking decision, Becky returning to squash Bianca, Bobby versus Goldberg's leg and also son, Charlotte ending Nikki ASH's title run in her first pay-per-view defense. Even the return of rooting, tooting Brock Lesnar couldn't elevate a pay-per-view that never managed to capture the magic of the previous month's excellent Money in the Bank. It's far from the worst SummerSlam, but it might just be one of the more annoying. Number 9, 2012. Again, 2012 wasn't necessarily a bad show, but man, even after rewatching it, I struggle to remember a single damn thing from it other than the first match was good, the WWE title didn't main event yet again because CM Punk couldn't catch a goddamn break, and that Brox and Trips match went about double the length that it should have done, or at least it felt that way. It was just a generally heatless event, pun definitely intended, and for an event marketed as the perfect storm, nothing momentous actually happened. All the champions retained their belts, including World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus doing his Irish John Cena shtick, aka the worst ever incarnation of Sheamus. Just felt like an episode of Raw for the majority of the runtime. Kofi Kingston and R-Truth versus the primetime players, anyone? Miz and Mysterio going 9 minutes, Daniel Bryan versus Kane. The triple threat WWE title match was decent, but leaned crazy heavy on Invincible Big Show, even though he hasn't been Invincible Big Show for years by that point. A light drizzle instead of the promised hurricane. Number 8, 2004. Ah yes, the SummerSlam we don't talk about because it was main evented by Chris Benoit. WWE in 2004, it was an awkward year. Most of the top stars of the Attitude Era left the company between 2002 and 3, but the brand split was still in effect, rendering most of that year's pay-per-views lightweight and, for the want of a more graceful phrase, However, on paper, SummerSlam 2004 should have been the dog's bollocks. Angle, Guerrero, Benoit versus young and invigorated Randy Orton, Cena versus Booker T, Edge versus Jericho versus Batista, Kane versus Matt Hardy for the right to marry Lita. There's some theoretically sports entertaining stuff here. The weirdest part is that all the matches are crazy short. Opening tag, 8 minutes. Kane Hardy, 6 minutes. Cena Booker T, 6 minutes. Edge Jericho Batista, 8 minutes. What were they saving all that time for? Glad you asked. 17 minutes of JBL and Undertaker having a bad match that ended in a DQ. Divas Dodgeball, gotta have that. And Triple H wrestling Eugene for 14 minutes. F off with that. And speaking of off, that's precisely what the Toronto crowd told Eugene to do because, yeah, it. Angle, Guerrero, and Orton Benoit were decent matches, but everything else was either brief, bad, or both. Number 7, 2007. The SummerSlam when it was possibly one of the worst times in history to be a wrestling fan. In storyline, the Vince's illegitimate son angle was in full swing, and though it hasn't quite hit its lowest point, pun intended, wahey, bastard son skits are all over this show. John Cena was still in unstoppable Homelander mode, and in real life, the Benoit stuff had just happened, which casts a horrible pall over wrestling as a whole. With WWE in full scramble mode, it kind of makes sense that 2007's ended up being one of the least memorable SummerSlams of all time. There are some highs, some Carly-esque lows, and the rest was weekly TV filler. Triple H versus King Booker is not a high-profile SummerSlam match. Batista having one of the worst matches ever to hit a major pay-per-view with the Great Khali is not a high-profile SummerSlam match. Kane versus Finlay is not that you get the idea. There's some good stuff here. Ray versus Chavo had some heat to it. Austin got to drink some beer, I guess. people like that. And the main event was actually pretty great, although it's now lost in a sea of 84 other Cena-Orton matches, a fairly unremarkable and often outright dull show. Number 6, 2006. This show blows a fat one. This whole year blows a fat one, really. I think it's my least favorite calendar year in WWE history, mostly because I really hated the DX versus McMahon feud, and here it is in overdrive, including run-ins by legit 10 different men. Hey, remember that one time they dropped human shit on those guys, though? Lol. Elsewhere, this is just a one-match card. The Edge-Cena main event is legit very good, but everything else is fairly dumb. Batista versus King Booker ending in a lame DQ. Hogan not being able to go anymore and still not being able to put over young talent at SummerSlam. It is his thing, I guess. The Flair-Foley bum fight being pretty uncomfortable to watch the entire time. Ending in a weird heel being noble spot that the fans hated. Sabu and Big Show having a match that exemplified both men's bad habits. Sabu being a big botch machine and the Big Show being an ent. The whole Ray Chavo match, yes, they did it 2 years in a row, still feeling uncomfortably close to Eddie's passing. But hey, the main event was good. Edge retained. Who saw that coming? Number 5, 1990. A lot of fans credit WrestleMania 6 as being the end of the Hulkamania WWF boom period, and judging by the SummerSlam immediately afterward, they're not wrong. There's a bunch of tired-ass crap on this show, a few baffling drop balls, and the first in a series of underwhelming Ultimate Warrior main events that served to define his lackluster turn as face of the company. His 10-minute cage match against Rude felt more like a house show match than the first hurrah of the new Hulk Hogan, who himself was busy lower down on the card, handily no-selling Earthquake's finish, which had previously achieved a level of infamy similar to Orton's punt. Texas Tornado beat Mr. Perfect for the IC title in 5 minutes, which sucks for Big Kurt, but the fans didn't mind it. Jake Roberts and Bad News Brown had a 4-minute DQ finish. Duggan and Volkov defeated the Orient Express, and it was very dreadful indeed. Now, to be fair, the tag titles 2 out of 3 falls match was good, even if it did involve a significant amount of crush, but by far and away the most baffling and hateful decision is running a dream match, Randy Savage versus Dusty Rhodes, charismatic icons of their respective companies, and have it end in 2 minutes via a shot from a loaded purse. Good job, everyone. So begins the bad times. Number 4, 1993. We're deep in the bad times now. The first major show after Hulk Hogan properly left the WWE air quotes for good to make air quotes stuff like Thunder in Paradise and nothing else. The original plan was for Hulk Hogan to work through SummerSlam and drop the belt to Bret Hart, thereby marking the official new era in professional wrestling, and it would have been a hell of a milestone. What we got instead was one of the most unintentionally hilarious endings to a SummerSlam ever. Lex Luger, aka the beefiest, blondiest guy that Vince could find, who might as well have been called Lulk Logan, winning the world title match against Yokozuna by countout because Vince lost faith in Lex at the last minute and didn't want to put the belt on him. But then, on the show, everyone celebrated like he'd won the belt with full-on balloons and a babyface parade. It's dreadful. Elsewhere on the card, instead of winning the world title, Bret is beating 2 clowns, first Doink and then Jerry Lawler, and then just for an extra turn in the punch bowl, Hart kicks too much ass and ends up losing to Lawler by DQ instead. Oh, and there's another Taker Giant Gonzalez match. It's truly the darkest timeline. I guess the Heavenly Bodies versus the Steiner Brothers was good. I'm scrabbling for pennies here. Number 3, 1997. Man, it's really hard to go back and rewatch this show. Some of it is good, like the Mankind Helmsley cage match. The bit of sports entertainment at the end of the main event is great. Some of it, like the interminable gang warfare bollocks, or LOD versus the Godwins, or Goldust versus a very clearly injured and in pain Brian Pillman, is outright dreadful. But hanging over the whole thing like a doom cloud is the horrific injury to Steve Austin's neck, where a botched pile driver compresses the Rattlesnake's neck, briefly paralyzes him, and eventually shortens his career by many years. What's even more heartbreaking is that the match was on track to be match of the night, but it ended in one of the worst possible ways a wrestling match could end. 1997 was a key year for WWE, the gateway between the hokey cartoon era of the early to mid-90s and the attitude grunge of the latter few years of that decade. But aside from some top-notch storytelling between Hart and Michaels, still the twin faces of the company at that point, this is a rough night for the Big Dub. Largely poor wrestling, heatless mid-card action, and an accident that almost stopped the show and the Attitude Era as a whole in its tracks. What would have happened in wrestling history if that pile driver had actually ended Austin's career? Something to think about. Number 2, 2010. You could flip the top 2 worst SummerSlams ever, and I don't think anyone would disagree because, spoiler, the top one's 95, and while it is an absolute cart of human spit, it does still have that ladder match. Both 2010 and 95 SummerSlams are one-match shows, and maybe all that's keeping 2010 at the number 2 spot is that its one match is better, because nothing can top Melina versus Alicia Fox. It's Cameron's favorite match. No, I'm being cheeky there. We love Melina at PFK. Honestly, though, SummerSlam 2010 sucks so much. By loading the main event with so much talent, the rest of the card is paper thin. Big Show beating all 3 Straight Edge Society guys in one go? No, thank you. Orton Sheamus ending in a DQ? No, thank thank you. Ziggler Kingston ending in a no contest run-in by the Nexus, who then go on to lose the main event. For God's sake, no thank you. And then the ending of the main event. Honestly, it's a really good match for the most part. Hot return from Daniel Bryan. Everyone was into the Nexus storyline. If WWE had handled the ending of the match better, people would be a lot more forgiving to this SummerSlam. But as it is, WWE dropped the dog and the dog broke. Instead of cementing the Nexus as a dominant faction with a win and properly shaking up the WWE hierarchy, Cena emerged victorious for Team WWE after taking a DDT on the concrete floor, no less, and the group were never hot again. And number one, 1995. The ladder match is brilliant. Everything else sucks. It's got the worst main event, not just of SummerSlam, not just of WWE shows, but potentially the worst main event of life itself. WWE's objectively worst WWE champion and the worst WWE challenger ever. Two slow-moving behemoths bumping into each other for 10 minutes. It's genuinely like watching two mudslides wrestling each other, and I hate it so much. Not only is it boring, but Mabel almost got his ass fired by dropping his ass right into Diesel's back unprotected and injuring the guy. But even without the worst main event ever, there's so much other dreck on this card. Bret Hart versus the dentist. The Cowboys versus the hillbilly Nazis, the Blue Brothers. Why, yes, those are SS tattoos on their arms. Thanks for noticing. Bertha Faye versus Alundra Blaze was fairly bad. Undertaker versus Karma was an awful casket match. Skip versus Horowitz was a bit cheerful. And Hakushi versus 123 Kid was a good TV match, but those two things would be pretty much fine on weekly TV, not at SummerSlam. Or honestly, short of the ladder rematch between HBK and Razor, there is nothing here that belongs on a SummerSlam. The worst show of WWE's worst era, and no matter how many times WWE booked Brock and Roman, at least it'll never be Mabel versus Diesel. And that's our list. What's your least favorite SummerSlam ever, and why? And if you would like a bit more of a positive list, do check out our 10 greatest SummerSlams ever. That one, we smile more over there. Make sure you're subscribed to PFK for more silly wrestling content. Never forget to jam that jam.